More than 54 million Americans go fishing every year, and it's easy to see why. What could be better than a day on the water with a fishing rod, some bait, and a few snacks? But not every fishing trip is smooth sailing. Some can be downright dangerous, and you'd be shocked at what might end up on the end of your line. Thankfully, with cameras always at hand, we get to witness these incredible moments. Here are the 15 most shocking fishing moments recently captured. Number 15. Russia's deep-sea monsters. Known for his ability to pull up all sorts of interesting sea creatures, Russian fisherman Roman Fedortsov's well-followed Instagram and Twitter accounts are packed with images of the crazy critters he hauls up in his work as a trawlerman in Murmansk, Russia. For his day job, this fishing wizard scours for cod, haddock, and mackerel on commercial trawlers. But a series of bizarre-looking sea creatures have been brought to the surface by accident. Roman is in charge of fish processing on his boat, so he gets the first look at the strange marine creatures, and he regularly posts photos of the more unusual species found in the nets. The batch includes a sea pike that appears to be smiling, a shrimp that looks like part of a tree, and a wolf fish that has just devoured a crustacean. Making up just 2% of known marine species, these fish typically live at depths of more than 3,200 feet below the sea, in a hostile area where light doesn't even penetrate. The aquatic curiosities were mainly found in the Norwegian and Barents Sea in the north of Russia, although some came from the Atlantic Ocean. The latest additions to his collection include a weird shark-like creature with bright red bug eyes, which the fisherman dubbed fish zombie. He works for around 3 months at a time on expeditions and has sailed around the world, including to African and Atlantic waters. Sounds like a great job. Need any help? Number 14. The annual capelin roll. Check out how these fish roll. They're called capelin and come to Newfoundland and Labrador on the east coast of Canada's beaches every year to spawn. Their arrival is a spectacle that draws in thousands of birds and whales, who often put on a show of their own. No wonder people enjoy the annual capelin roll too. The capelin is an inhabitant of cold Arctic seas around the world, but extends southward to coastal waters in the northern temperate regions. Unlike many other species of smelt, the capelin does not enter freshwater to spawn but lays its eggs instead close to shore, even on the wave-washed gravel of beaches. But it's an event that's as unusual as it is unpredictable. And though the exact dates of the roll are difficult to predict, it typically happens mid-June or July and marks the beginning of summer weather, along with a chance to spy humpback whales coming to feed on these slender, speedy fish. They're also a traditional delicacy, high in fat and rich in energy, very nutritious and delicious. So, seals, whales, seabirds, and other bigger fish just love to join in on the rolling frenzy. Shimmering pale green and silver, capelin look like anchovies or sardines, or even smelts at first glance, and grow to a length of about 8 inches. Here's an interesting fact. Males can be distinguished by the ridges they develop down their bodies. This helps them stick by their female mates during spawning. So grab a seat near the beach, and don't forget your camera. Number 13. Fisherman catches croc. Sometimes when you go fishing, you don't always catch fish. It's entirely possible you won't catch anything, and sometimes your catch is capable of ripping a limb off your body. So be careful, please. A man was on a leisurely charter boat in Weipa, northern Queensland, in Australia, when he hooked the monster catch. The unlucky fisherman got the shock of a lifetime after reeling in a massive crocodile. Yeah, a crocodile. And it was not intentional. As the enormous reptile thrashed in the water, the fisherman could hardly believe his eyes. His fellow anglers on the boat erupted into nervous laughter, unsure whether to be terrified or amazed at the sight before them. The crocodile, clearly displeased with the situation, twisted and rolled in an attempt to break free from the fishing line, causing the boat to rock slightly. With every struggle, the beast revealed its massive size, its powerful jaws capable of snapping a person in half. The crew acted quickly, using pliers to cut the fishing line before things could escalate further. To their relief, the crocodile swam away unharmed, leaving behind only a few heart-pounding moments that none of them would ever forget. It emerged that the cold-blooded croc had eaten a fish that was caught on the end of the man's line. As you can see in the freaky footage, it shows the fisherman struggling to hold the line before the giant reptile appears. He was stunned to see the beast swim up to the boat before it was freed from the line. And to add insult to injury, the animal continued to swim around the boat before the fisherman eventually released it. "This was one catch we were happy to let go," said the stunned fisherman. In Queensland, the state government has passed laws allowing some areas to be declared crocodile exclusion zones, where crocodiles will not be tolerated, with the option of putting in barriers to stop them from returning. In zones considered to be at a higher risk of crocodile-human interaction, such as cairns and surrounding beaches and rivers, rangers have been catching and removing crocs bigger than 6 feet long. Number 12. Monster sturgeon of Minnehaha Creek. Like something out of an urban legend, 2 boys were inner tubing down a small bend of Minnehaha Creek in Minnesota, and spotted a large fish that looked even bigger than both of them. So they leapt into action. One ran home to grab a rope, tied a slipknot, and before long, a crowd of neighborhood kids, as well as a handful of parents, came to marvel at the fantastic fish as the two pulled a 6-foot lake sturgeon by its tail out of the little creek. This fish was not supposed to be there. The stunned onlookers took pictures and videos, documenting the incredible moment that soon made its way onto social media, attracting the attention of local news outlets. Many speculated about how the fish had ended up in such a small creek, with some even suggesting it may have been released by someone as a prank or an unintentional escape from a private pond. Wildlife officials arrived shortly after to examine the fish and were amazed at its size and health, concluding that it had likely been living in the area for some time. Given that sturgeons can live for over 100 years, this one could have been decades old, quietly navigating the hidden waterways of the region. It was a rare and fascinating sight for everyone, proving that nature still holds many mysteries, even in the most unexpected places. The lake sturgeon, also known as the rock sturgeon, is a North American temperate freshwater fish, one of about 25 species of sturgeon. They can grow to be over 7 feet long and weigh over 250 pounds. Now, the question for the State Department of Natural Resources was, how did a sturgeon, especially such a large and old one, ever get into that creek? Fisher said his first thought was that the sturgeon somehow swam up the creek from the Mississippi River. That's impossible, though, because there's no way it could have made it past Minnehaha Falls. The only other explanation is that the fish came downstream from the source of the creek at Lake Minnetonka. Fortunately, the boys released the monster sturgeon back into the shallows. Quick fun fact, lake sturgeons perform tail walking like dolphins, where they leap out of the water backward and move backward on their tails, and often jump out of the water and spin in the air during the mating season. That would be very cool to see. Number 11. San Francisco Great Whites. Every morning for 10 years, Joey Gomez has hopped on his boat to take customers of his Golden State fishing business on a San Francisco Bay excursion, a hobby-turned-business for this 42-year-old. One remarkable day, he and a group of men were hunting for 7-gill sharks, also known as cow sharks, off the coast of Alcatraz Island when they made a surprising catch, a great white shark. Although there is no known record of an attack on humans by a white shark inside the bay, great white sharks have been observed inside the bay on several occasions. And this great white took these fishermen for the ride of their lives. The shark put up an intense struggle, violently thrashing and diving deep into the water, making it nearly impossible to bring to the surface. As the fishermen fought to reel it in, the sheer power of the great white caused the fishing line to strain to its breaking point. The boat rocked aggressively with every sudden movement of the massive predator, making for an adrenaline-pumping experience. Witnessing such a rare and powerful creature up close left the entire group in awe, reinforcing just how dominant and untamed these apex predators truly are. With each passing minute, the fight became a battle of endurance between man and beast, a once-in-a-lifetime moment none of them would ever forget. The great white literally dragged the boat through the bay for more than 30 minutes and 2 miles out of their starting point. The men took turns trying to reel in the enormous fish. The great white shark, which was estimated to be about 7 or 8 feet in length, was caught around 11 a.m. near Alcatraz Island. What a thrill! Catching any fish is always a little exciting, but a great white, the world's greatest living predator? What an amazing moment. Great white sharks roaming the waters in California are protected under laws according to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. If fishermen catch them accidentally, they must release them right away. Thank goodness for modern technology. If you have a camera, you might not be able to keep the great white sharks on your end of the line, but your camera will. Your social media posts are going to blow people's minds. Now it's time for today's topic. In a remote coastal town in Spain, a group of fishermen recently made an extraordinary catch that has stunned the global fishing community. Hauling in not one but 3 massive bluefin tuna, each estimated to weigh over 2,500 pounds, these catches could potentially shatter all previous records. The International Game Fish Association, IGFA, is yet to officially verify the claim, but the photographs and videos taken on-site leave little doubt about the size of these gigantic fish. The mystery deepens as experts question how such unusually massive specimens were found in a region where bluefin tuna of this size are exceedingly rare. Some speculate that changes in oceanic currents or an abundance of prey in the area could have led to this unprecedented growth. Others suggest it might be the result of an undiscovered population of giant bluefin tuna, thriving in the deeper, lesser explored parts of the Atlantic. Despite the excitement, some skeptics have raised concerns, hinting at overfishing or even artificial methods that could explain these remarkable sizes. Whatever the truth, this catch has left the world with one burning question. Could these enormous tuna be the harbingers of an entirely new phenomenon in marine biology? Number 10. Maine's monster lobsters. If you want to catch huge lobsters, get in the Atlantic Ocean off the east coast of the United States. The biggest lobster ever caught in America was off the coast of Maine, a 27-pounder nicknamed Rocky, with claws tough enough to snap human bones. The 40-inch male crustacean, about the size of a 3-year-old child, was caught then freed in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean, said Elaine Jones, Education Director for the state's Department of Marine Resources. And as you can see, all the weight is in the claws. Jones said, "It would break your arm." The Marine Lab has no record of a larger lobster being caught in the state. Lobsters like Rocky are thought to reach these enormous sizes due to the unique way they grow. Unlike most animals, lobsters continue to grow throughout their entire lives, shedding their hard shells through a process called molting. Each time they molt, they increase in size by about 15%, meaning Rocky had likely undergone hundreds of molts over the years. Scientists believe that if lobsters avoid predators and fishermen, they could theoretically live for over a century, with some even speculating that they could be biologically immortal. Another fascinating fact about large lobsters is that they don't just get bigger, they also become more fertile, with older females capable of producing millions of eggs in a single spawning cycle. However, despite their impressive survival abilities, giant lobsters like Rocky remain rare due to natural selection and human activity. She said the world's largest recorded lobster was a 44-pounder caught off Nova Scotia in 1977, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. Fortunately, North America has strict requirements in regards to the catch and release of crustaceans in order to protect the species and the fragile areas they live in. Lobsters usually live up to an estimated 45 to 50 years in the wild, but nobody knows how old Rocky is. A lobster's age is estimated by its size and other variables, but when it's this big, it certainly has outlived most other lobsters. If only Rocky could talk, I bet he'd have the best stories about being the king of crustaceans. Just keep your eyes on those claws. Number 9. Fisherman's Friend. In 2007, Barry Hunter picked something very unusual and frankly creepily coincidental out of his fishing net. Trawling near the mouth of the River Tyne, about 280 miles north of London in the North Sea, that particular area is a great spot to fish. Over 230 species of fish live there. Cod, haddock, sole, mackerel, herring, pouting, sprat, and sand eel are very common. But on that day, Hunter removed what appeared to be a piece of human bone from his net. If that isn't creepy enough for you, just wait. Hunter turned the bone over to authorities, and forensic tests confirmed that it belonged to Brian Allison, a friend of the fisherman. How crazy is that? Hunter had actually found a skull fragment of his missing pal. The story goes that in 2004, a trawler boat sank during rough weather in that area of the North Sea. Allison and his brother, Robert Temple, were the only 2 occupants of the boat when their vessel, Jan Denise II, sank off the northeast coast near Tynemouth. The wreckage was later discovered, along with Allison's body, but Temple's remains were never found. Authorities speculated that the bad weather was the reason that the boat sank, but nobody really can confirm what happened on the vessel. Police say the unlucky fisherman, Hunter, and even more unlucky skull owner, Allison, were just friends but did not elaborate. But what are the chances? Number 8. Barramundi bites back. It was a perfect sunny day, ideal for catching some fish with a friend, maybe pick up some food and refreshments, and kick back and wait for the fish to bite. And when they do, it's exciting. If you've been fishing, then you know this awesome feeling. But I don't think these Australian blokes were expecting to catch this. Rarely are fishermen seen running the opposite direction from their catch, but a frightening video captured that exact moment in Australia's Northern Territory. Doc Craig says he was filming in Darwin, Australia, as a friend was trying to save a prized barramundi, better known as an Asian sea bass. But something seemed to have a hold on his fish. The fisherman got a nasty shock after reeling in a massive crocodile. In the video posted by local media and other news sites, Craig's friend is at first seen struggling with the fish, even running along the bank to keep up. Then things start to go wrong as a crocodile takes notice and begins chasing the fish. You can hear Craig yelling as he begins to run from the crocodile. Since 1971, Australia has witnessed 99 attacks on people by saltwater crocodiles, of which 27 were fatal. On average, that's around 2.3 attacks per year over 4 decades, of which 0.6 were fatal. That's pretty good going for a country with the highest river densities of saltwater crocodiles in the world and an active human population that spends a lot of time in and around water. Keep your eyes peeled. You never know what might be watching you from the water. Number 7. The sailfish and the wedding ring. This is a story so unbelievable that it's required a lie detector to verify its authenticity. In 2002, a Fort Lauderdale fisherman put his gold wedding ring on a sailfish's bill to sadly commemorate his failing marriage before letting it go. Weird, but okay. You won't believe this, but he recaptured the same fish more than 2 years later with the ring still attached. And because it was such an incredible story, he underwent a polygraph examination to prove he did not make it up. The fisherman, Eric Bardis, was overwhelmingly truthful, according to polygraph examiner Doug Reno, who announced the results on a Miami radio talk show. The announcement also was carried live on NBC's Today Show. This was huge news. The polygraph exam consisted of Bardis writing a statement about the incident, putting the ring on the sailfish's bill off Fort Lauderdale in December of 2002 when his marriage was ending, then recapturing the fish off Foylight on January 22nd and removing the ring from the bill. Today, the fisherman has a new girlfriend in his life. For some strange reason, she was not happy that Bardis removed the ring from the fish and had decided to begin wearing it. The new gal in Bardis's life thinks that maybe this happening is an omen that he should get married again. To her, of course, not the fish. Apparently, the fisherman's ex-girlfriend could not be reached for comment on this fishy tale. Number 6. Half-cooked chimera lobster. Strange but true, two-toned lobsters are often called split or chimera lobsters, caused by a cellular split when the eggs are first fertilized. This lobster is so rare that there's only a 1 in 50 million to 100 million chance of capturing one. By comparison, the odds of finding a blue lobster are about 1 in 4 million. However, despite these incredibly long odds, you too can catch one of these strange beauties if you're lucky. Scientists believe that this rare split coloration could also be linked to the lobster's genetic sex determination, meaning that many of these unique lobsters are also hermaphrodites, possessing both male and female reproductive organs. This makes them even more fascinating, as their bodies are not just visually split down the middle but biologically split as well. In some cases, the dividing line of color is so precise that even the lobster's claws exhibit different characteristics, with one being more dominant or larger than the other. This duality is not just cosmetic, it can affect the lobster's behavior, making one side more aggressive while the other remains relatively passive. Researchers studying chimera lobsters hope that understanding these rare genetic mutations can provide insights into crustacean development and even the impact of environmental factors on their coloration. Basically, the color of a lobster's shell is a mix of yellow, red, and blue, a combination that results in the usual brownish-green color of most lobsters. The lack of blue and yellow resulted in the unusual surprise, a bright red half resembling an already cooked lobster. This two-tone lobster has half its body of normal molted brown color, sometimes blue, while the other half is a bright red, a result of a genetic mutation. The two sides of the lobster developed independently, with the red side having a lack of the blue pigment crustacean. The mutation causes a unique appearance, much like human skin. The shell of a lobster has its color determined by how prominent certain pigments are. In humans, it's called melanin. In lobsters, it's a pigment called astaxanthin. Now, this might sound wrong, but I wonder if each side tastes different smothered in garlic butter. Number 5. Monster from the deep. In 2011, an accident at the Fukushima Daiichi power plant in Japan was triggered by a tsunami following the Tohoku earthquake, a 9.1 earthquake off the Pacific coast. It was the biggest earthquake in the world at that point and the source of epic levels of toxic waste, forever changing the ecosystem around it. Some of the damaging effects could be seen in the oceans worldwide, including sea creatures with strange mutations. Meanwhile, in Russia, a terrifying mutant fish with 2 mouths gave fishermen a fright when they fished it out of the ocean. Their unusual catch appears to have a mouth on its neck, as well as its face and a bizarre hook tail. The men who caught the monstrous creature in Primorsky Krai, off the country's southeastern coast, can be seen showing it off in a video posted online. The bottom of it appears to be filled with a transparent liquid, which drips out as the men hold up the unfortunate-looking fish. They claim the liquid could be the fish's eggs, but had no idea what breed it was or even if it was alive. Fascinating but kinda sad. Although toxic waste was never confirmed, one of the fishermen blamed the nuclear disaster for the fish's frightening appearance, saying, "This is all possible thanks to the Fukushima explosion. We hope not." Number 4. Ultrafast pole and line tuna. Pole and line refers to an ancient fishing method that supplies about 10% of the world's canned tuna today, mostly from the western and central Pacific and the Maldives in the Indian Ocean. And it's a good thing, better for you, better for tuna, and better for our precious earth. It's also a super exciting sport to watch because tuna are big and they're ultra fast. Check out this action. Unlike large-scale industrial fishing methods that rely on massive nets and long lines, pole and line fishing allows for better control over the catch, ensuring that only the targeted species are harvested. This method has been used for centuries by coastal fishing communities, passed down through generations as an effective and sustainable way to fish. One of the biggest advantages of pole and line fishing is that it minimizes bycatch, accidental capture of non-target species, allowing for healthier ocean ecosystems. Fishermen using this method often work in teams, coordinating their movements and even using baitfish to lure tuna closer to the boat before hooking them one by one. In addition to its environmental benefits, pole and line fishing supports local economies, providing jobs and fair wages to coastal communities that rely on fishing for their livelihoods. And since pole and line fishermen catch one tuna at a time and pull them out onto the boat right away, there's little chance to hook unintended sharks, sea turtles, and diving seabirds. Of the 7 commercially important tuna species, albacore, bigeye, skipjack, yellowfin, Atlantic bluefin, Pacific bluefin, and southern bluefin, pole and line catches mostly skipjack and some albacore, both of which have largely healthy stocks. It's the most sustainable method of catching the most sustainable tunas. Besides being very popular in restaurants worldwide, canned tuna is a staple in many people's pantries. Americans and Europeans buy more canned fish than anyone else, importing almost 1 million tons in 2018. So here's what you can do to help. Read the label, pick a brand with pole and line scrawled across its side for delicious tuna without a sign of guilt, and bon appetit. Number 3. The biggest bluefin tuna of all time. Since we're on the topic of big, not only is Ken Fraser's bluefin the biggest tuna ever recorded by the International Game Fish Association, it's also one of the most iconic records of all time. He landed the world record bluefin tuna on October 26, 1979, fishing with Captain Eric Sampson aboard Lady and Misty out of Port Hood, Nova Scotia. And get this, Fraser needed just 45 minutes to bring the largest tuna ever caught close enough to gaff after it ate a trolled mackerel. Recreationally, bluefins have been one of the most important big game species sought by sports fishermen since the 1930s, particularly in the United States but also in Canada, Spain, France, and Italy. The power and endurance of bluefin tuna make them a prized target for anglers, with their incredible speed reaching up to 43 miles per hour. Despite their massive size, bluefins are highly migratory, covering thousands of miles across the Atlantic to reach their spawning grounds. Their demand in Japan, where a single tuna can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, has fueled their high commercial value. The introduction of tagging programs has helped researchers better understand their migratory patterns and improve conservation efforts. Unfortunately, the growing black market for bluefin tuna has made illegal fishing a serious problem, further threatening their already declining population. In Nova Scotia, tuna fishing is big business. Over $6 million worth of the valuable fish was caught in 2014. That's a lot of tuna, the majority of which is exported unprocessed to markets in Japan, the United States, and Europe. This commercial importance has led to severe overfishing. The International Commission for the Conservation of Atlantic Tunas affirmed in October 2009 that Atlantic bluefin tuna stocks have declined dramatically over the last 40 years by 72% in the eastern Atlantic. But congrats, Ken Fraser. This amazing tuna fish is still the granddaddy of all tuna catches, weighing in at a mighty 1,496 pounds. This world record tuna has stood for almost 40 years, and we may never see it broken. Number 2. Chinese cormorant fishing. Could you imagine being so connected to an animal that you could train it to catch your dinner? These relationships between humans and animals are rare, but there's no better example of this bond than the ancient art of cormorant fishing, a traditional fishing method in which fishermen use trained cormorants to fish in rivers. Cormorant fishing, an ancient practice dating back to 960 AD, is now rarely used, but the dying art is often brought back to life to entertain tourists. Historically, this technique has taken place in China, Japan, as well as Greece, North Macedonia, and briefly in England and France. Cormorants are medium to large birds with body weight in the range of 0.77 to 11.02 pounds, with a wingspan of 18 to 39 inches. As you can see, the union is the spectacular moment of fishermen with a close bond to cormorants, using a flock of birds to catch big fish in a centuries-old ritual. The birds are trained from a young age, learning to obey their handlers and return with fish rather than eating them. To prevent the cormorants from swallowing large fish, fishermen tie a small ring around their necks, allowing only smaller catches to slip through. The fishermen reward the birds with smaller fish as a form of reinforcement, ensuring they stay motivated. Cormorants are incredibly skilled divers, capable of staying underwater for more than a minute and swimming at high speeds to chase their prey. Some records suggest that a single cormorant can catch over a dozen fish in just 1 hour, making them highly effective fishing partners. Fishermen must have a close connection with the cormorants, and when the birds grasp hold of a fish, the fishermen pull them back to the boat so it can release the prey. It must be hard for the fish not to save the catch for itself. Hopefully, the fishermen share. Number 1. Albino cyclops shark. Albinism is a lack of pigmentation in the eyes, skin, and hair, known to affect mammals, fish, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. It is pretty rare, so you can imagine catching a fish that possesses these unusual qualities. That would be the catch of a lifetime. And what if that albino fish you caught only had one eye? Well, that's what happened in 2011 when a shark pup with albino skin and a single eye was found by fishermen in Mexico. Pictures were beamed across the world, and the internet went wild. but many dismissed the strange creature as a hoax. After examination by a Mexican biologist, the shark was declared to be the real deal. It was removed from the womb of its mother, an endangered dusky shark, which was caught in the Gulf of California. Shocked fisherman Enrique Lucero León caught the female dusky shark earlier that year. To his amazement, he found the deformed shark embryo along with its 9 regularly developed siblings. Scientists thoroughly examined the shark, confirming that it was a genuine birth deformity, as the embryo suffered from cyclopia, a condition also found in several mammals, including humans. This meant that the shark did not survive for long outside of the womb. The shark's condition is a rare congenital disorder characterized by the failure of the front portion of the brain to properly divide the orbits of the eye into 2 cavities. Poor little shark, but still quite a catch. Those were the 15 most surprising fishing moments in the world. Which of these discoveries shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.